The Valour Park Association is again a registered not-for-profit. We are hoping to build a new military vehicle museum. One of our major milestones was getting through the first town council meeting in Morinville, and everything looks positive on that end to build this facility up in Morinville. Like the Aviation Museum, our goal is to preserve the military vehicle history, and on the side, basically any military artifact is part of our sort of mandate right now. We have over 80 vehicles that have been fully restored in a variety of collections, and the goal is to build a facility where we can put these all on display, open it up to the general public. These are all runners as well, so we, over the past 3 years, have been doing an extensive outreach program. I think last year we attended over 30 different events with our vehicle collection, from 1 or 2 to, I think our largest was about 22 down in Spruce Meadows. So the next one is our mission. I'll just let you read that. Okay, that's one of our vehicles. This is the initial drawings of our building, 2-story, 40,000 square feet on the main floor, and about 30,000 square feet on the second floor. Okay, our objectives: to establish a permanent home for these vehicles. Again, the purpose is to educate anybody who is interested in military history, vehicle design. It's also a draw for veterans who want to tinker and fix and help restore these vehicles. We also hope to attract apprentices through the, is it IRAP or RAP program, to participate in these restorations as well. Basically providing a service to the community. So when we established the not-for-profit museum sort of status, we wanted to apply for a business license from the Chief Firearms Officer. She is here today to talk about the regulations that is required for a museum. And if you just read through the requirements there, we met all of those, applied for a business firearms license, and it included all types of firearms. So anything from the non-restricted, think of a Lee Enfield rifle, through to the restricted guns, typically, let's say your Webley revolver, your 1911, your Browning high power, Lugers, that type of thing, depending on the barrel length. Restrict or prohibited firearms, and then within that we have different classes as well, short-barreled handguns, and then of course the fully automatic firearms as well. So the next few slides, I hope I'm not stealing from Dr. Terry Bryant's here, is where did we come to where these licenses are required, and why our museum has been successful in collecting a lot of these prohibited firearms. 1977 is when the fully automatic firearms were banned in Canada. This is, if you're into the politics, the assault weapons were banned. In 91, this is a year and a bit after the Ecole Polytechnique shooting, C-17 changed the regulations where you could take an automatic And if you modified it so it could only fire semi, it would be legal to possess that firearm in Canada. Other things like the magazine restriction on semi-automatic rifles was introduced in that bill. Also, modifications to the classification system occurred at that time as well. C-68, commonly referred to as the Long Gun Registry Bill. Again, this is a reaction to the École Polytechnique shooting and the political push by the, I call them the anti-gun lobby. Their policy was Canada doesn't need guns anymore. Everybody can go to Safeway to get their meat. They don't need to hunt, etc. Get rid of all the guns. 2020, an order in council was produced banning a large number of semi-automatic rifles that were once either non-restricted or restricted. They became prohibited. And they also that year introduced the handgun ban. You were no longer allowed to buy, sell, transfer handguns. I mentioned the grandfathering as well. So that's the legislation in a very brief note on why we applied for a license to obtain a prohibited status for our museum. So our first, or we have several, but the one that interests a lot of people, and this is a classic story. James Parley, now deceased, was a gun collector, and he had a rather extensive collection of firearms, but in the times of Bill C-68, he said, my cold dead hands, or something to that effect, and he literally buried his guns in a couple of suitcases underneath the deck of his home. So his widow called one of our members in and said, you gotta get rid of the guns, we're selling the house, etc. So Scott, myself, a couple of other people from the association went there, and very clever sort of hiding place. We took out a window in the basement, created a crawl space underneath the deck, and that's where he hid his guns. 26, I think, were recovered, and none of them were registered. They are now, but none of them were registered. Okay, so these are the pictures taken the day after we recovered them. 4 of these, aircraft wing guns for Gene, if you need some, we can help out. 5 M1s, and the interesting thing about the M1s, each one was built by a different company. So that's why he had 5 of them. AK-47, PPK. A lot of the wood on these was just rotten. You picked it up and it just sort of crumbled in your hands, etc. Barrels were blocked with rust as well. So we hope to use, they're not fireable, most of them anyway, so we hope to use some of the machine guns as deactivated or dewadded guns for our military vehicles, have them on display with that type of idea in mind. Okay, so why did we get the phone call? So when people started collecting guns 400 years ago, 500 years ago, it's a fascinating topic. When people say, why do I like guns? I say, why do some people collect coins or collect stamps? It's a bug, it's built into your DNA, and it get you out there to start collecting. There may be a few people in the audience that have been bitten by that bug as well. James was one of those believers that registration would lead to confiscation, hence he was one of those estimated 1 million gun owners in '68 that refused to register their guns or whatever. He did have our pal, and he did have his 2 guns in his upstairs safe, but his big collection was hidden. So the James parlay story is just one. We are hoping to build this new facility in Morinville. Again, answers one of the questions, is there a need for a military museum up in the Edmonton area? We're actually getting a lot of positive support from all of the military units who abandoned Calgary in 1996 and left their museums back in Calgary. They would like to see some of their collections and whatnot put on display in the local area. So we are getting a lot of support from the military side of the house there. We are always looking for volunteers, whether you like to tinker, sand some rust off a piece of metal, or help us refurbish and restore some of the guns that we collect as well. The bottom right 2 photographs is me sitting at a table. This was last week. We received a donation. Again, an individual passed away, and in his will he said, I don't want my guns destroyed. Make sure they go to a suitable location. I think, Matt, you got a couple of guns out of that collection as well. Some went to Calgary, another batch went to Kamloops. We received 149 prohibited firearms in that collection. And the thing about this collection is that they are all pristine. This gentleman definitely took care of his guns. He researched them, he got the history on them, etc. One of the things that I like is that he followed the design of the semi-automatic pistols that were designed by John Browning. So he's got versions leading all the way up to his last sort of design, the M35 or Browning High Power, and other countries copying of the patents, etc. So he has a very, very nice collection of firearms. We were very proud to receive that. Okay, I'll wait for questions later.